But I do intend to go over to the chamber and see what kind of updated information they have. It's still a little early for that. Okay. And this is island tourism. Again, this is word for word from chapter 2. And you, again, you could just keep scrolling it. The next one is a little ways away. There we go. Outdoor recreation. This was a little, it's a very nice objective. It was defined in, of course, chapter 2. But it's a little out of place. It's one of the few subsections that has an objective. So I'm kind of wondering if we shouldn't go through and broaden the higher level pairing objective, or consider authoring objectives for other subsections at this level. And that may be advantageous, is to go through and add additional objectives when we go through and do the detailed revisions of this stuff. I think that would be advantageous. But again, this is a direct cut and paste from chapter 2. And here's the next objective, which is supporting seafood and aquaculture. And again, that's a direct cut and paste. And then this is where the objective concerning educational development coordination with Wallops Island was inserted. And, does everyone feel that it's kind of an appropriate objective for that section?
Has the school board taken any initiatives at all in that vein, from the standpoint of coordinating opportunities, especially for the seniors or the high school, the various high schools, from the standpoint of come up with some sort of
I don't know if there's
appreciation program, or
I don't know if there's a specific program that they have, but they certainly work with Wallops. There's Mr. Paul Bull, I think, is the vice chairman of the school board right now, if not the chairman, and he's a highly placed Wallops employee. So I would think that they would be working quite well with Wallops.
yeah, it seems like a great opportunity from the standpoint of familiarizing the high school students in all of the high schools to what's there. It is, it's a technical opportunity from the standpoint of their education. It just, I come from an area where a high school friend of mine, graduate, actually started a Nassau program in a Philadelphia high school back in the 70s, I guess, late 70s and 80s. And it was quite effective because he got hooked up with NASAD, Canaveral, and so forth and so on. And it became a full-fledged program within the school. So, and any sort of industrial opportunities other than maybe chickens.
Well, I can tell you that it's and if you've had children in school lately, you understand that extracurriculars are truly extracurricular now. There's no time made during the day. Block scheduling, and I've had several principals tell me this block scheduling kind of took the extracurriculars out. I mean, when I was in school, maybe when you were in school, we had 6 or 7 periods, 50-minute periods in a day's time. Not anymore. There are 4 blocks. And at the end of those blocks, you're done. Anything, and it's difficult to fit extracurriculars within the actual school day because the blocks are very structured. And it's the course that you have to take to graduate, and the course that you have to take to get into a college, and there's not much room for anything else there.
Is that because they've offered these college-bound courses or college credit courses?
No, I believe it's because block scheduling allows certain efficiencies. I understand this wasn't my area, but block scheduling allows certain efficiencies within the school system as far as teaching and that sort of thing. And but once you do that, certain other curriculars, like I had, for instance, band every day.
Right.
It was a regular class. That's not done anymore. If you want to participate in band, you stay after school because there's no room during the blocks to do that. And there's other things as well that are similar.
Big change, yep.
I know pre-pandemic that there was a fairly active like internship program with Wallops, and also I had, in visiting a couple middle schools, I'd seen where NASA had active programs in middle school. I don't know exactly what they did, but there were active programs there. I do understand that at some point they go through and coordinate with Metomkin and stuff like that because of the proximity of the school to the launch vehicles, you know, that they're easily heard and seen, so they coordinate that.
At one time, a few years ago, there was a program that, and I believe NASA was involved with it, but they actually had an aerospace program. They actually had a wind tunnel and a flight simulator and things like that set up in a lab that they got money to build. And it was it started out at Marion Smith, and I believe we moved it to Arcadia Middle when it was born.
Was middle school students?
Yes, it was middle school students. SEMA was the acronym. It escapes me what SEMA stood for, but
there's plenty of jobs there, you know, and it's not easy to find people to come out and fill those jobs. So it's to everyone's advantage. The other thing, and maybe we need to go through and add an objective here or in the tourism section, is the space tourism. I think especially with Rocket Lab becoming more aggressively, launching more aggressively, there's more opportunities for that. Any questions or comments?
No.
Okay. One piece of information that I hope to incorporate for this meeting, but didn't because it eventually led me down the rabbit hole, was I had gone through and happened to be looking at the ACS survey data, which they survey residents every year. In fact, I got the postcard and had them fill out the survey this past year. So basically, between the census years, they go through and do partial surveys and update projections and estimates and stuff like that. I did see the numbers, the population numbers for Chincoteague for like 2019, 2020, 21, 22, projected for 22. And it was very interesting. They were claiming about a 600 person increase in population from 2019 to 2020. And then it started a slight decrease in 2021, like about 50 or 60 people from that. And then a 20 person decrease, projected decrease in 2022. And I thought, you know, that was pretty consistent with the sense I got of seeing people in town in the wintertime, walking dogs and stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to go through and garner out that information along with the associated housing and job data to go through and correlate that. But I think that's a good story when it's all prepared. So that's all I have for right now.
No more changes?
No.
Any questions or comments? Thanks, Bob, appreciate that. The survey review, if we could, I don't know what the experience has been with the rest of you. Apparently, everybody and their brothers putting out surveys. I got Accomack County Business Survey coming out, and the Department of Conservation and Recreation has come out with a framework for a survey on resiliency plans and so forth. And of course, our master plan survey. Do you think that possibly in January, because I don't, unless somebody wants to have a meeting in December, we probably won't meet again until January. But I'd like to set January as, let's finalize a survey for 2023, so that however we're going to do it, be it the monkey or mail-outs or handouts or whatever, let's address our efforts in that vein. We still have the format that Mark has worked on. If there's any updates or changes to it, I'd ask you to take a look at it.
I got the first copy, and Bob made some changes to it too, I think that
You got that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I sent those to you. It's
Yeah.
probably been,
So that's the most
it looks like
current.
it's been incorporated, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Ray, I've been thinking about that. And because I was real eager to get the survey results, because I think things are different than what they were the last time the town was surveyed. But in thinking about it, and consistent with what we were talking about recently, I think attitudes are changing post-pandemic, and it may take another year or so for them to settle out. You know, I'm wondering, I'm worried that we might get a pandemic biased result in the survey that won't be there like a year from now. You know? What's your sense? I mean, you see a whole bunch more people than I do, so.
Do you,
I'm not sure about.
it looked, if you
I
think
mean,
about
I see where you're coming
growth,
from, but
You know, if you think about the island itself, I mean, every month, Mark's got a handful of permits coming, buildings, activity that's taking place. It's, you know, boggles your mind when you think about everybody boo-hooing the economy, you know, and it doesn't seem applicable here for
But a lot of
whatever the
buildings,
reason.
are they gonna be for permanent residence, or are they gonna be for rental purposes?
Well, yeah.
What kind of bias do you mean?
Well, actually, the growth is one thing. Like, prior to the pandemic, like, everyone you talked to still kind of had the same sentiments as when they were last polled. What was it, back in 2010? It's like, we love the island the way it is, don't change it, you know, keep it, you know, small town feeling and everything else. And, you know, yeah, they'd look at, you know, like a new hotel or something with the eye, right? Now, I think a lot of people like the changes, you know, or they're more acceptable to the changes than what we would have seen, you know, 2 or 3 years ago. But I think that's going to fade. You know, I think a year from now, people will say, you know, I wish, you know, and we're back to the same set of objectives as from 2010.
I guess, again, it depends upon, you know, chocolate and vanilla, who you're speaking with. Those who don't want us to be Ocean City South or Annex of Ocean City. And yet those who say, hey, you know, the more the better, you know, you've got a development at the south end of the island, you're gonna have a new restaurant coming at the south end of the island, where traditionally it's been, no offense, but it's practically been the abandoned area of the world other than the harbor, you know? And some years ago, the town council, when they had their, let's sit down and project what we would like to see happen here, there, and everywhere, the south end of the island was sort of designated as, hey, it's going to be the Wild West. You know, it was going to be open to anything, you know, any kind of development. And but, you know, our zoning has been established for the area, you know, but, it's amazing the influx of just food trucks, the change that made in perspective of people, and the fact, you know, those who liked it, and those who don't like it, you know, those who thrive on it. You know. So it seems to be very volatile. And again, I guess it harks back to what the economic situation is. You know, everything goes back to the dollar. How it's going to be spent and who can spend it. Maybe we can. Well, we might have a little bit better feel come January. You know,
Yeah.
We'll get through. You know, we'll see what the election
See,
forecasts and projects, which may be different than what it is today. So we'll have to see. So again, I'd like to really put that as a top priority for January, that we readdress that. You know. Anyhow, I know I keep coming back to this the resiliency group and the fact that they had a workshop back in August, and the projects that we had, of course, were, Mike, you got the desalinization plant still on the list, I guess. But
Yes, it is.
Harvey's gone, but you know, have to welcome our new Public Works Director. I'm glad to see we got that position filled. You know, Mr. Parks, I guess, was introduced to the council last evening, so that's a good step forward, you know. But again, and Harvey was doing the boat ramps, and it sounded like the Harbor Committee is pushing to have all these things completed by next year. I was down in Harbor Wednesday when the boys were putting in that floating dock, and it's beautiful.
The last wood pier there will be removed hopefully in the month of December, because the replacement floating dock for that should be here in December, and once it's on site, we'll start demolishing the old one and installing that one.
We're supposed to deliver it in December.
Yes,
I was amazed at how quick they put that in, how efficient they are.
it's a big record set, and this is
You
the
know,
third or
it's
fourth one
it's
we've
like a
done.
Lego set, you know, and it opens, for whatever the reason is, it just seems to open the harbor.
Well, it's low profile, you don't have all these trees sticking up in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's a great job. It's just a super job. You know, I got two other things I already mentioned to Mike. The Muni code, I like using that. It's easy to use, and I would encourage anybody who hasn't used it to go in there. Our code's in there. It's easy to, and the index is so much easier to use than that paper-bound book there. I mean, you just hit on the subject that you're interested in, it takes you right to the chapter and verse.
Not only do that, it'll download it to your computer, the section you want, it'll print it, it'll email it for you, whatever you'd like to do with it. There's all those options there at the touch of a button.
Yeah, it's really, really great, and it works. I think it works great.
And what's that called?
The Muni code.
Muni?
MUNICOD. There's a link to it on our website.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the website. You just have to hit there. I went on it.
Is that
I
something
got it
new
on a
that you
toolbar.
guys got?
Yeah.
What's that?
Is that something new?
Yes, it came online last month. We've had it in the works for close to a year, but the zoning code is on there as well as the ordinances.
Are you working on a permit application process that'll go in there too? Or
It won't be a Municode, but it'll be right on the.
it'll be within the town?
County website, yes.
I'll tell you, it's great if you have any expertise at all, or it really doesn't require a lot of expertise, I should say. So thank you. I'd also like to, we got a little visitor here. Come on. Mr. Landsberger's gift that was accepted last evening. That's a big piece of ground. It's almost 6 acres, I guess, 5.5 acres, something like that.
Something like that, yeah, it's,
Is there any thought to what, other than retaining it as open space for, as far as developing it from the standpoint of plantings, trees, or, when I say development, I don't mean commercial development, I mean,
it's, the deed, at Mr. Landsberger's insistence, the deed is specifically restricted. It can't be sold, it can't be
Right.
developed.
right,
We, as long as, in fact, the stated purpose for it was to provide open space and help us in our CRS rating, so we can provide.
as a
flood-
conservation?
basically for flood control. The more open space we have, that's undeveloped, the more credits we can give with CRS, and it helps lower everybody's flood insurance.
Yeah, FEMA has come out with a new flood model manual. It's very comprehensive. I think I sent you a copy of that. It's a model at this point in time, but there's a lot of verbiage in the model that leads you to believe that they are going to refer back to that when and should, or the town have a need, or the community or individuals have needs to use FEMA, that they may utilize that as the guide. You know, if you haven't met these kinds of things, or you haven't done some planning and towards the responsibility of taking initiatives, it may not help you. It may be detrimental. So I hope somebody's going to take a look at that model and make sure that that if there's anything that Chincoteague has to do to protect itself, that we do that. You know, it's pretty extensive. It's like 50-some pages, and it's very technical. But there is verbiage in there that leads you to believe that, hey, this may be gospel come 5 years from now. You know, it always starts out with an idea, and then
Talking about as far as resiliency of the plan, or as far as FEMA for resiliency of the plan, or for the,
it's FEMA's projection of what has happened in the past,
okay,
and using that as a model to indicate that what may happen in the future. And it goes into building structures and codes and everything, you know.
well, we're taking the initiative.
Recreational-
That we're 2 foot above now, so we're going over the higher standards we can to
Yeah, yeah.
meeting them things.
And those things, they address in there too. You know, they look for that kind of stuff, so that's cool, you know. But if anybody has anything else to,
Mike, is that Richardson Landon?
That is
Right
that box there is the land that Mr. Landsberger donated to us. It's immediately adjacent to, I think it's Twilly Drive and Astig West.
you come in from what, Richardson Landing?
That's Amron Drive, isn't it?
Is Ameren?
Yeah.
Okay, this is Ameren then? Let's see.
Is the only, does that go all the way out to Main Street, or
No.
you have to
this
come
is-
in from Richardson Landing?
You have to come in from Richardson's Landing. But these are it's actually 2 lots there.
Right.
But as you can see, the vast majority of it's wetlands.
That Woodland Ponds.
And I believe Mr. Landsberger said there is a permit for one of them for a septic, but of course, like I said, we agreed to the deed restrictions that won't allow you to build on it or sell it, so.
But as far as the land itself, is it just marsh, or?
Pretty much, if you, we can overlay the wetlands on it. You can see the
First.
the blue,
Yeah.
the brown, those are all wetlands. And the green, those are all wetlands, so you got one little area that's not really in a wetland. So it's really not what you'd call prime real estate for building. And the council at present has no plans to do anything with it other than to use it to increase or decrease our CRS rating.
Gotcha, okay. No, I just thought, if there might be an opportunity for some sort of tree cover or plantings, that, since the state's offering trees. And,
Well, as you can see, the trees tend to grow on the ridges, as we all know, and
yeah,
a lot of those are
pine.
pines, which the bark beetles have eaten up. Then you have to try to plant hardwoods there to guard against that, and then there's so much salt water in the area it becomes difficult to grow.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
Brackish water.
Like, what's the other road that comes in there? Next to it on this
This is
side?
on this side.
Mhm.
This is Chandler's Crest.
Chandler's Crest, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's a development.
Mhm.
I think we overlay the,
We used to have a lot of bonfires back in the day back there.
yeah.
I think everybody did.
You can see the lots that are platted there are long and narrow.
Yeah,
I think there was recently a proposal for travel trailers or something like that as a campground.
they weren't planted as a campground?
They will, I marked
Not
it
down
down.
there, I think one up closer to, Mr. Meadows as campground.
But this, I mean, you look at the shape of the lots and the size of the lots,
Yeah.
it's problematic to do a whole lot of things with this.
That's a nice size, it's just,
Most all that's wetlands too.
That's true.
It is, yeah.
If you overlay the wetlands on there, you can see there's one little area here that's not wetlands.
So between septic and getting delineation done, how much buildable land you got's gonna be, small lots gonna be questionable.
it's the chair's recommendation that we not meet in December. Is that the consensus of the commission?
That'd be fine.
And, I would hope that come January, we'll all be healthy, wealthy, and wiser. If not, we'll still meet in January. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Steve? Ron?
Now, Mark, can you send us the updated survey? Can you email that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't have a copy of the
Yeah.
updated one.
Tom?
No, I'm good.
Ms. Muller? Good. Entertain a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you, guys and ladies.